Hello, everybody. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've been able to record. We've been hit with a series of unfortunate events.
A series of most unfortunate events.
Between, just not feeling good or getting sick. And also because we live behind a school. And lately it's been football game after football game and graduation party after graduation party.
You know what they were doing last night? It was like a senior party. They did like a parade.
It's so stupid.
It truly is. I don't remember us doing stuff like that. Like, I remember field day. You remember field day? I hated field day because I'm a freaking nerd, always have been. So it was just me and my group of ragtag friends, and we would like sit under a tree and read our books. Or
you wouldn't go get your face painted?
Or talk about sex.
You didn't.
We did, actually.
What did you have to contribute to that?
A lot of speculation that was all wrong.
Well, it was a group of nerd friends, I guess, so it ain't like
It's true.
Consummate professionals.
Yeah, this was in the early days of the internet. The first time that I saw a nasty thing, I was like, and I cried.
You cried when you saw a wiener?
I did. I was very upset. I was like, I'm not supposed to see this. I'm not married. So, fun fact, today is a mini obsession, and we were talking about things we believed as children that we no longer necessarily believe, but are still fun. So, that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, we'll do a mini-sode today. We'll have a full episode out this weekend, and we'll be back on track.
Yeah, we're going to actually do the damn thing.
We're going to do the damn thing. Our next actual episode is requested.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm excited about that one.
So there's that, and then Caitlin has her episode that'll come out Wednesday from today. So.
Yeah, and it's honestly one of my favorites.
Oh?
Yeah.
But we already did the Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil's one of my favorites, so is the Mothman.
Mothman.
Yeah, this one I didn't know existed until literally a few weeks ago.
And it's your favorite?
It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Mothman.
Top 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mothman is number one. Mothman is like...
Really? I thought the Jersey Devil was number 1.
I really like the Jersey Devil too.
They take turns being number 1.
They do. Me and Mothman have history. We go way back. Like when we were kids, me and my friend, we watched the Mothman prophecies, and it scared us so bad because we were children. And there's that scene where the Mothman's up in a tree. And we had gone to her house. I think we had just gone to McDonald's. Oh, those were the days. But we came home and I was like, watch out, Mothman's looking at you from that tree. And she was like, fuck you. And then I was like, oh, God. And then we were both scared and we ran inside.
You scared yourself.
I did.
You're like, oh, what if he is in that tree?
What if he is in there? And then, red lights when you're driving. It's like Mothman's eyes, obviously.
Right, of course it's Mothman.
Right. But I used to believe with all of my little sweet heart that kissing on your wedding day got you pregnant.
Only on your wedding day?
Mm-hmm.
Did you...
I don't know how the biology of it worked. But, in the movies... Okay, here's my thought process. Okay. Remember, it's little me.
Mm-hmm.
I look exactly like I do now, but I'm small.
Right.
So... I'm like...
Your small child body, but like a normal adult head.
Walking was very awkward. I tripped constantly. It was very, very strange. But I used to think, because in the movies, they get married, they kiss, and then the next scene, there's a kid. So my brain was like something about the kiss and you being married, like the swapping of the salivas. Somehow your body knows you're married.
The arcane ritual is complete.
Correct.
A child is born.
Right. Gonna shout it from the mountain tops. A star is born.
All right. Well, following that logic,
mm-hmm.
how did it make sense to you that you were one of 3 children if you can only get pregnant by kissing on your wedding day?
I don't know. I guess I thought there was some kind of intent that goes into the kiss that gets you pregnant.
Oh, like this kiss will make a child.
Right. I used to also think that the deed was literally... But that's
we're gonna cut that one out.
That's not why we're here. We have some spooky things we believed as children.
I think that story still counts. I think that's fine.
It's pretty spooky.
Spooky, yeah, that a kiss can get you pregnant.
It's. I used to think that too.
What a terrifying world to live in.
Why do you? I've been in therapy for many years.
Recovering Catholic.
Recovering Catholic. That's a real. By the way, listeners, that's a real term. That's a real thing they talk about in therapy.
Yeah, if you're Catholic, maybe go talk to a therapist.
You should. I think everyone should talk to a therapist.
It feels pretty targeted, but you know what?
Well, it didn't do me too well, so.
Everyone should go talk to a therapist.
Honestly, you should, Clay.
Caitlin is targeting me because I haven't talked to a therapist. But I understand that...
You're so self-aware you don't need to.
What I was going to say, I understand that I should. And I'm saying that everyone else should also go talk to a therapist.
You really should do it. BetterHelp, sponsor us.
You might not even know what kind of problems you're having.
I didn't.
All that internalized anxiety.
Oh my God. We could do a whole episode about internalized anxiety and trauma.
Well, it was like when I had got my first migraine, which lasted for 9 straight days.
Yeah, I remember. It was horrible.
We went to a neurologist because I'm like, well, something is wrong with me. And it's like, no, you're just...
You have a migraine.
You have a migraine. And I'm like, well, what caused it? And it's like, you need to calm down. And I'm like, there's no friggin' way. Like, it's like, I'm upset right now, sure, because I'm in a doctor's office and I've been dealing with this for a week and I'm tired and exhausted. And you're telling me I need to just chill. Mm-hmm. It's like, but, up to that point, I wasn't like, oh, God, I'm going to die any minute, or freaking out in any external way.
Well, the way it was hurting you, it almost seemed like my brain goes straight to a brain tumor or some kind of growth or something.
It was rough.
Because you were throwing up, you were hurting so bad. That was absolutely miserable.
Throwing up and trembling and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so bad. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Probably should have went to a therapist before then.
Maybe so. So, you know what? We're saving you money. We're passing the savings on to you. Go to therapy.
We're talking about things we used to believe as children.
Yes.
There was one thing my grandpa would always tell me.
Old blue jeans.
Well,
okay, so he's not old blue jeans.
There was a ghost that I thought was my grandpa walking to my house, but it wasn't. It was a ghost who also wore blue jeans.
Right. And he was like, I'm not outside. Because he's the only person who wears blue
yeah, because
he
had seen it. My parents had seen it and all that. But that's... If you want to hear about that story, go listen to the Shadow Person episode.
It's a good episode.
Episodes. There are 2.
Yeah, it's part 1 and 2.
Part 1 and 2. My grandpa used to tell me about Bo Ram. Bo Ram was a monster that lived out in the swamp near our house. And if you went out after dark, he'd grab you. And the only description I had of Bo Ram was that he was a set of glowing red eyes in the darkness.
That's so scary.
Terrifying. It certainly made me want to not be outside after dark.
I don't like to be outside, period.
Children are typically afraid of the dark. Mm-hmm. I don't know that this helped my situation any. Because it's definitely one of those things where it's like, even if I was in my own room at night, and my bed wasn't very far from my light switch, but it was like I had to be in bed the moment darkness fell. What?
Or Bo Ram would get you.
Or Bo Ram might get me. I don't know. I was like, oh, what if he gets in the house? I don't know anything about this man. Like, I don't know how big he is. Is he just eyes? Who knows?
Yeah. Did you ever learn anything else about Bo Ram?
No, you just hear about Bo Ram getting and my grandpa would like do this like growling noise or whatever. And as I got older, obviously it was kind of like, okay, that's just,
right.
He was just messing with me, that kind of thing.
Keeping you out of the swamp, that sort of thing.
Maybe, I don't know. He was laughing about it every time he talked about Bo Ram. I was like, this is the scariest thing I've ever heard. Why are you laughing?
Oh.
Aren't you worried about Bo Ram?
I wonder if his family told him about Bo Ram.
I'm not sure. But there was Bo Ram, which we're getting a new logo that my brother is doing, which is an homage to Bo Ram.
Oh, Bo Ram. I love
So
Bo Ram.
Look forward to seeing that piece of art.
It's wonderful. He does the best art.
He does great art. In addition to Bo Ram, there was also what he called a woolly booger.
Oh, yeah.
Which... At the time, whatever, I was scared. Obviously wasn't as scary as Bo Ram. A woolly booger was just some sort of unnamed monster.
Sure, like a boogeyman.
Could get you.
Yeah.
Getting older, I was like, that actually kind of sounds vaguely racist.
Oh, no.
But I looked it up, and it's not. And I believe I've talked about this before, but just to reiterate and say specifically, it's specifically like a southern slang for an unkempt hairy man.
A woolly booger.
A woolly booger.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah. Which some people have also said, like, oh, that they could be talking about, like, Sasquatches. You know, that's where this sort of term came from. But it's also been used in, like, ad campaigns and marketing for, like, shaving accessories and stuff. Like, oh, you don't want to be a woolly booger, do you? You know, it's like, shave your face, you know, that kind of thing. Thinking about it now as an adult, it's actually more scary than Bo Ram. Because my grandpa was telling me that there was a hairy, unkempt man in the swamp that might grab me. If I go out, it's just like, oh no. Like a deranged hobo that's just living out in the woods, like a mountain man. In addition to Bo Ram? In addition to Bo... Yeah, how do him and Bo Ram get along? Are they at odds with each other?
I feel like they're tight. I feel like they're cool.
Well, Bo Ram, I think, wants to eat me. The woolly booger might want to, like, put me in his basement.
Oh no, that's scarier than me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's scary. Thinking about just a hairy, unkempt man in the woods that'll snatch up children.
Yeah.
That's one of those real world horrors where you hear about that and you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's not so much cute and fun as much as it is terrible.
It's actually scary.
That does like what Baraska does, where it's like, ooh, yay, funny,
we
scary
can't just
story,
name drop,
and then bam.
We can't just name drop Baraska.
If you haven't listened, go listen to Creepcast.
To Creepcast, a better podcast.
Oh. One of the best podcasts, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get there. We're manifesting.
That's how we listen to the story of Baraska, which is like a r/no sleep spooky story.
Like the best.
It is really good, but I will say some very adult themes.
It goes from scary and fun and mysterious to viscerally upsetting.
Right, another real world horror.
Yeah. Which
I think is a minor spoiler. So if you want, you can go listen to Baraska. You don't have to necessarily listen to it via Creepcast.
You should, though.
They're pretty... If you thought that we cussed a lot.
Yeah.
Also, there's like comedy with it because it's that. But there's multiple people have covered that story. They've done readings, audiobooks, stage plays, whatever. You have any number of ways to consume that piece of media.
We could read Baraska one day.
Oh God, I don't know. That's like a 6-hour story.
It would be like a 29 pod.
It would be several episodes for sure.
For sure. So when I was a little girl, my grandpa told me, because he was missing part of a finger, and he always told me that a booger bit it off. And that's why I shouldn't pick my nose.
How did he actually lose the finger?
I don't know. Probably, he worked on vehicles, so I assume some kind of automobile.
Something happened. So Pop also was missing the first digit of his index finger.
So was my grandpa.
Oh
God, are we related?
I don't think so.
Oh no.
He cut his off with a skill saw by accident, but he did say that a booger bit it off.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Specifically, a booger bit it off. And he would point a lot with his middle finger because the index finger was shorter. And he was usually holding a cigarette, too, between, like, the nub and the finger. So he's like, cigarette pinched between his index finger nub and his thumb and pointing with his middle finger. And I remember I started pointing with my middle finger, and my mom had to, like, get on me. It's like, no, you don't point with that finger.
That's so cute. Well, you saw Pop do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I thought that's just what you did.
Right.
That's how children learn.
Right. That's cute. So, that same grandpa, their house... There was a shop back behind it and this big hill, and there were 2 trees that were very close together. And the story goes that years and years and years ago, now we are in the deep south.
Yeah, specifically where your grandpa was at was like southern Alabama.
The deepest, most southern Alabama.
In the woods, there's not a Walmart for at least an hour and a half drive.
At least. My sweet granny, she was so cute. She loved going to Walmart. It
was like a big deal to her.
It was. It was like a whole day trip going to Walmart. It was so sweet.
Yeah, so we're talking about one of those towns that, like, there's one traffic light.
Right. The point of telling you this is that that's how backwoods it was. Because there was a time where there was a shack on that hill. Now, I'm not sure if they were actual slaves or if they were servants or what. This is long before my grandparents built their house. But there was a baby who died. And the story is that the baby is buried between those two trees.
In an unmarked grave.
In an unmarked grave.
Yeah. No, I can definitely believe that. Slavery ended less long ago than you really think it did.
Honestly, yeah.
And those kind of things continued for a long time after.
Right.
Some might say they're continuing today.
Clay's soapbox, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not going to go on to modern day slavery, but hey, I used to work for law enforcement, so I don't know what to tell you.
Honestly, though. Honestly. But I always thought that was so sad and kind of scary and like, is that legal? But
to just bury a human?
To just bury a human?
I don't think it is, but...
Now, this would have been a long
during
time
the time
ago.
During the time,
Maybe.
probably.
Sure, but I remember asking, like, is that true?
But now, and, we could get on another soapbox and talk about the funeral industry, but now there's so many laws and stipulations and regulations that are built around where you can put your dead people.
Right.
That basically has been put forth by those large funeral companies in order to make more money.
Oh, the funeral industry is an absolute freaking scam.
It's pretty predatory.
It's so... I mean, they're taking advantage of you on the worst day of your life.
Yeah. They'll take you to the fanciest, most expensive coffin and be like, it's what she would have wanted.
I'm telling you right now, in front of God and everybody listening to this podcast, direct cremate my ass and plant me in the field by my dog.
You can chuck me in the woods, whole body. I don't care. I ain't using it anymore. I'm an organ donor. Let them get all the good stuff out.
Yeah,
and then toss
take
me
my
in
organs
woods.
First. Yeah, cremate me after you take my organs.
Yeah, let me feed the ants and the wild dogs. I guess I don't care.
Wild dogs.
If you want somewhere to go to talk to me, put up a rock. Don't buy a headstone. Those are so expensive. Get a cool big rock and I don't know, carve it or paint it or something.
I'll draw a bud on it.
Yeah.
I'll draw a dick bud
and
on it.
throw a Reese's cup at it every now and then as tribute.
don't set it down respectfully. Chuck it. Yeah.
Hey, my ghost go back, oh, dude, sweet.
You see a little ghost hand reach up out the grave and grab the candy, and it becomes a ghost candy and pulls it down.
I take the spirit. The candy dies. I take the spirit of the candy with me to hell.
You unmake the candy. I love it.
That would be pretty. Actually, it's kind of sick to think of a horror movie or something. It's it steals the soul of the object, and the object just withers rapidly, a sped up time lapse of fruit rotting.
Oh, imagine a doll, an old doll doing that.
Oh, it's all claymation too.
You know, one thing I heard. Oh no, I hate this movie now. But one thing I read, and I thought it was so interesting. One of the reasons that dolls specifically are so often haunted is because, when you're a ghost, you're trying to find something to possess. I don't necessarily believe this is just a theory. But you're looking for something to possess, and a doll is human-like and at least has arms and legs and a face and eyes. So that's why...
It's about the closest thing you're going to find.
To an inanimate object that's a human, sure. So
unless you find a mannequin, and you're like, ooh. And no one does haunted mannequins.
Well, mannequins don't really move often. They're
I guess
usually
that's
still.
Fair.
I mean, I'm sure they make mannequins that move, but just...
Yeah, they don't have a lot of points of articulation.
Right. I've always wanted, back when I was skinny, I always wanted to get in the window at Forever 21 and pose and then scare people when they walked by.
I think they would know that you were.
Well, they would now. I used to be a skinny bitch.
No, I mean, I think they would know because a mannequin looks like a human, but not nearly enough to actually confuse.
No, I would be super still.
Okay, but how many mannequins have you seen with whole ass faces?
I would be unassuming, and you're not really looking at the mannequins when you're walking by, Clay, because you're trying to go get an Auntie Anne's pretzel, and you're mad because there's a line. So you're just kind of standing there outside of Forever 21 fuck my life, and then all of a sudden I'm like, boo, and you're like, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, and then I leave. I used to believe in dreams as a child. I used to believe that if I worked really hard, I believed in myself.
Good Lord.
Another thing, where I grew up, my parents still live there. There's a big field, and it used to be just an empty field. There used to not be anything on it. But when I was a kid, it was only like 3 acres. But 3 acres to a child is massive.
Right.
Like this huge, like, prairie. And I would always go run and play in there, and I always wanted horses. And my brother always told me, I do like I do you. I'd be like, tell me a scary story. Tell me a scary story. But he would actually indulge me because, you see, he loves me, unlike you. But he told me that 100 years ago, because it was always 100 years ago.
Right, it's always going to be 100 years to the day.
Right.
On a night just like this.
On a night just like this, right here in this field, there used to be a Native American chief who would ride around on his white horse. And some stay, you can still hear him. And so every time I'm out there, I'm like, oh, the Indian chief.
I can hear him.
I can hear him.
So
he never existed.
I used to live pretty close to a sort of mom and pop gas station / grocery store.
Yeah.
Called the Country Store.
Real name.
We're
not making that up.
It was
That's
like
really
a
what it's
red
called.
log cabin. And
Yeah,
it
it's
had
like a tiny house.
4 pumps. Mm-hmm. So like 2, but front and back.
Right.
But it was right there next to the house. It was on the adjacent road, essentially. But where I lived was about a 30-minute walk if I cut through the woods. And there were about 2 or 3 acres of woods in between.
Right.
You know, where I lived and the country store. And I would walk up there with my quarter and 2 pennies, because that's how much it was with tax to get a fudge round.
That's how old we are.
Yes, it was 25 cents for a fudge round, and the tax on that was 2 pennies. So 27 cents, I could walk up there, get me a fudge round, then walk back home. So I'd scrounge around in the car or whatever, right, to get this change and go walking through there. Because, you know, this is back in the day. I didn't have a lot of neighbors because we lived so far,
right,
you know, out of the way and in the woods.
This is when you lived in the haunted house.
Right. So I kind of had to make my own fun. There was a friend who would sometimes be at his grandparents' house, which was neighbors to us, which was only like a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
But, so this is the kind of stuff, you know, I'd go play outside. And there was plenty of room to play outside where I was. And I had my bike and I rode that around and that kind of thing. But here, I would walk through the woods. It was about 2 to 3 acres of woods. And there was an old, like, 4-wheeler trail that went through there, because there were plenty of people around that had that kind of thing.
Right.
Out in these woods, there was a metal sign. Like the kind you'd see on the side of the road or something, right? Not very big, but it was so old, the sign had been whitewashed by, you know, the rain, the elements, the sun, so you couldn't tell what was on it. Mm-hmm. So my brain, trying to make sense of it, was like, this is a sign trying to warn me of danger. Mm. What else does a sign exist for, right?
Right.
I mean, about half the time, that's what they are for. Like, hey, don't do this. Don't do this thing. You could even argue that speed limit signs are warning you of danger. Like, hey, don't go over this number because you're likely to get into a wreck.
Right.
There's a reason why this number is what it is. Well, it was adjacent to a set of the woods that I had never gone into because the trail curved around it very deliberately. So that kind of fed into the...
Oh, there's something bad over there.
Right. Go ye no further.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I would freak myself out every time I walked by it because I'd be like, wait, what was that? You know, like listening to... It's the woods. Stuff makes noise in there, and it was probably nothing.
Probably.
Because this was like a plot of land that was woods. It wasn't part of a larger forested area. Any animals that are going to be in there are going to be small. I'm not going to happen across a bear in an area like that.
Right.
Maybe a fox.
Ooh.
Which wouldn't want to, like, corner or anything, but...
Or hear it breed.
Right, yeah. If you've never heard the mating sound of a fox, here it is. Awful.
Terrible.
Terrible.
We made our friend's child listen to that, and he mimicked it the whole ride home that was over an hour.
That was unfortunate.
It was.
We don't have kids of our own.
No.
Specifically for reasons like that.
Yeah, correct.
It was one of those where it's like, hey mom, what if you heard this noise?
Yeah.
And then it was just
yeah,
that,
he wasn't
over
scared.
And over again.
It was fun. It was all in good fun. It was lots of
but
fun.
he kept doing it. She's like, bruh.
She did. She straight up said, bruh. Like
after the 12th time of him saying the exact sentence, hey mom, what if you're in the woods and you heard this noise? And then shrieking. He's just, bruh.
I love it. I love them so much. Another thing I used to believe when I was little, I scared myself into thinking that there was a cowboy ghost in the grotto. So that's why when you were talking about the Hat Man, we keep going back to that Shadow People episode. But you
can't escape the Hat Man.
You can't escape the Hat Man. But it scared me like I went white for a second because I thought about the cowboy in the grotto. Because all you could see was his hat. He didn't do anything. He was just there.
He was just there?
He just hung out.
Kind of was like the Hat Man then. Mm-hmm. A lot of things that I used to believe as a kid, I've still never conclusively disproved. So that kind of leaves them on the table. Where it's like, well, I don't know about that. And it's like, it could have been this, but I never got any closure on those things.
Right.
So I never, grew up and looked back and been like, I know exactly what that was. It was this.
Right.
It's kind of like, I think it was this, but I'm not sure.
Right. I don't think any of mine could be proven either. They were just stories or made up.
You might could go dig up between that tree and see if you find a human skeleton.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel
but
like
what
that's
do you
really
gain?
rude.
Yeah. What? Just leave it there. Let it be. Yeah. It has a grave.
That's so sad. I hope that's not true, but it probably is.
Yeah, it might be. It's a backwards Alabama town.
Yeah. It's
unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. A lot of the existence of that place was unfortunate.
Yeah, the whole place was kind of bad vibes.
Yeah, just the vibes were not vibing.
Vibes bad.
Just no good.
Well, what about you, listener? Do you have anything? Leave them in the comments below. Your stories about. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit the bell to get notification. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, no. Do it if you want or don't.
If you have a story you want to leave in the comments, that's fine.
You really should. You really should. That was fun. I really enjoyed reading all the comments about the dire wolves, so I'd be open to doing an interactive episode sometime.
Interactive episode?
Well, like reading comments and questions and going from there. Like talking points.
Not like how should Caitlin respond to Clay? Text now,
Yeah. Text A to 555-555 if you think Caitlin should agree with Clay. Text B to 555-555 if you think Caitlin should fart.
I knew it was coming.
Text C to 555-555 if you think Caitlin should go get a soda. Calculating. Soda wins!
All right, well, before you get a soda, do you have anything you want to say to these people?
I love you. And I'm proud of you. And I hope that you'll tell us what you used to believe as a child that you no longer believe. Whether it's something spooky or something silly. Isn't life a mixture of both?
And don't just say Santa Claus. We all know.
Yeah, we all know Santa's real.
He comes from the north. As all evil spirits do.